Hello, everyone. I'm one of your discussants for today. My topic is all about Chapter 14, Research Collaborations and Networking. So under Chapter 14, there are several topics, which is the building research partnerships, participating in research conferences, collaborative research tools and platforms, and managing multinational and cross-disciplinary teams. So before we start, let us define first what is research collaboration and research networking. So research collaboration refers to the partnership between two or more parties, typically researchers or institutions working together to achieve common goals. While research networking, it involves utilizing tools and platforms to connect researchers, share knowledge, and facilitate collaboration in various academic fields. So collaboration promotes the building of effective communication and partnerships and also provide equal opportunity among team members. So it honors and respect each member's individual and organizational style. So collaboration also it promotes ethical behavior by maintaining honesty, integrity, equity, transparency, and confidentiality. So there are four types of collaboration. Number one is the intra-institutional collaboration. So teams from the same institutions work together on projects without external funding. So example of this, members of two research groups in different departments of the same institution work together on a project. So no external funding is involved and the work is divided reasonably equally between the two groups. And all those involved meet together regularly to review their progress and plan for publication of their results. So number two is the interinstitutional collaboration. So researchers from different academic institutions collaborate and often sharing resources and expertise. Example of this, a researcher from a private company works with the research group of an academic faculty member for several months. So during this time, the non-academic researcher pursues his own project while learning about current techniques and research questions from the graduate students in the group. So number three is the industry academic partnership. So collaboration between academic researchers and industry professionals to apply research and practical context. Number four is the government collaboration. So partnership with government entities that may provide funding or resources for specific research initiatives. So sample of this, to gain a more global perspective on a public health questions. So a collaboration among 10 research group in 6 countries established. All research group independently apply for their own funding. So the collaboration agree that all data collected regarding the question they are studying will be made available to the entire collaborative as soon as the graduate student most directly involved in gathering the data set has completed his or her dissertation. So next, let us what is the benefits of research collaboration? The benefits of research collaboration is number one, enhance innovation. So collaborative networks can lead to breakthroughs in research by combining different areas of expertise and fostering creative problem solving. So diverse teams can merge different perspectives and skills, so leading to innovative solutions that may not emerge in isolated environments. So number two is increased funding opportunities. So joint application for research funding are more likely to succeed when multiple institutions collaborate. So as they present uh, a united front with a broader impact potential. So collaborations can provide access to specialized equipment, funding opportunities, and broader participant pools for studies. So number three is to improve research output. So studies shows that collaborative research often results in a higher numbers of citations and publications. So particularly when involving international teams. So uh, collaborative efforts often yield higher quality results due to the combination of various expertise and methodologies. So the last benefits is the capacity building. So collaborations provide training opportunities for young researchers, enhancing their skills in scientific communication and technology transfer, which are today is crucial for career development. So next, challenges in collaboration. So number one, while we have the benefits of research collaboration, there are also challenges in research collaboration. So number one is the miscommunication. So miscommunication, different disciplinary languages and practices can lead to misunderstanding among team members. Number two is the role confusions. So unclear responsibilities may result in overlapping duties or gaps in project execution. So number three is the conflict resolution. So disagreement over authorships or project direction can arise. So necess so it should be clear uh, conflict resolution strategies. So next is the trends in research collaboration. So there are trends in research collaboration. One of this is the digital transformation. So as we all know, the rise of digital tools and platforms has transformed how researchers connect and collaborate by making it easier to form networks and share information globally. So later on, I will discuss about the some platforms or some digital tools that used to uh, research collaboration. So number two for the trends in research collaboration is focus on sustainable development goals or SDG. There is an increased emphasizing on collaboration that support global initiative like the SDGs. So which require coordinated efforts for various stakeholders to address complex challenges. So number three is emerging collaborative models. So new models of collaboration are evolving, so including virtual teams and partnerships that leverage social media and open access platforms to facilitate communication and resource sharing among researchers. So what are the components of successful research collaboration? So to help prevent disappointment and increase the efficiency of such partnership, researcher academy Dr. Ijas Isaac. So a marketing specialist and all-around collaboration experts discuss the key to successful academic collaboration. So number one is diligently follow the schedule. So as a fruitful as collaboration can be, their effectiveness depends on formalizing a firm and effective schedule that works for all parties. So once established, it is vital to follow this schedule implicitly, or it is uh, it is vital to follow this schedule strictly to ensure efficient working on all accounts. So there are tips that he gives. Number one is to create and use a shared calendar and to-do list. So this way, not only will you or will not only one of the researcher will be able to manage some tasks while keeping other partners aware of your progress and timeline. So it will also keep your research partners on track. So number two is the division of responsibilities. So one of the main reasons for failed collaborations is misaligned expectations. So to avoid this, it might help to formalize responsibilities through a written record of who is doing what. So after discussing the expectations and responsibilities informally, you should be write them down like a memorandum of understanding to make sure that all parties are clear on what is expected of them. So number three is to demonstrate a responsible attitude. So the next step to establishing responsibilities is to follow up your own part. So do this by making sure that you are responsive, proactive, and take care of your tasks. So in doing so, you can contribute to an effective collaborative relationship and increase your publication chances. So have regular catch-ups since in-person meetings are too time consuming and expensive. We can use online tools uh, like Skype, Zoom, or Google Meet to connect virtually. Or why not create a private messaging group? Diba? Number four is to agree on deliverables. So just like a clear division of responsibilities, the project deliverables should also be clarified and confirmed early on. So achieving this entails establishing comprehensive details on when these expectations are to be met and how they contribute to the overarching projects. So shared calendar considered using collaboration, enhancing web tools like Slack and Trello to enhance communication and sharing of timelines, statuses, and output. So number five, keep it a formal relationship. So while having a friendly rapport with your collaborators is to be encouraged. Migrating into an informal relationship can be counterproductive towards the achievements of your research goals. So collaborations that lack a formal work setup can impact the schedule, responsibility, and expected deliverables. So before every meeting, virtual or in person, send an agenda in advance and ask the other parties if they want to change or to add anything on the agenda. So don't merge work and social meetings with your don't with your partners. So last but not the least is the be patient. So this is the final tip uh, that patience goes a long way in overcoming the hurdles that will inevitably affect your project. So especially when you are working as part of a potentially large team. So spread out all over the globe. So it's easy to become frustrated and delusion, delusions. So combat this with an open mind and a patient approach to things. So next is the building research partnership. So what are the steps to establish a research partnership? So number one is the idea capture. So begin by refining the research concept and determining what you can offer to potential industry partners. So this includes identifying mutual goals and the value each party brings to the table. So number two is identifying partners. So identifying potential industry or academic partners that align with your research interests. This may involve outreach to organizations that could benefit from your research capabilities. So number three is pitching. So develop a concise proposal that outlines the research objectives, expected outcomes, and financial considerations. So clearly articulate what each party will gain from the partnerships. Number four is the negotiations. So negotiations discuss and agree on critical aspects such as intellectual property rights, budget allocation, risk management, and ethical consideration. So this stage is crucial for aligning expectations and responsibilities. Number five is the formal agreements. So establish formal agreements such as memoranda of understanding or collaborative research agreements that define the scope of work, timelines, and roles of each partner. So these documents help to clarify expectations and facilitate smoother collaboration. So number six is the implementation. So once agreements are signed, initiate the project while maintaining open communication among all parties. So regular updates and feedback mechanisms are vital for addressing challenges as they arise. So last is the evaluation and adaptation. So continuously assess the partnership's effectiveness through regular evaluation. So be prepared to adapt strategies based on feedback from all stakeholders involved in the research. So what are the key considerations for successful partnership? Number one is the mutual commitment. So both parties should have shared commitment to long-term collaboration. So focusing on common goals rather than short-term gains. Next is the communication strategy. So establish clear communication channels to share updates, results, and challenges throughout the partnership. Next is the resource allocation. So it ensures that both parties have the necessary resources, financially resources, financial, human, and infrastructural to support the research activities effectively. Last is the trust building. So foster trusting relationship by being transparent about intentions and expectation, which can significantly enhance collaboration outcome. So by following these structure steps and considerations, a researcher can build robust partnerships that not only advance scientific knowledge but also deliver tangible benefits to all stakeholders involved. So next is participating in research conference. So what are the benefits of participating in research conference? Number one is the Number one is the networking opportunities. So conferences provide a platform to meet fellow researchers, faculty, and industry leaders. So this networking can lead to mentorship opportunities, collaborations, and professional relationships that are crucial for career development. So number two is presentation experience. So presenting research findings, whether through oral presentation or poster sessions, helps develop communication skills. So it also allows participants to receive constructive feedback from peers and experts in the field, so which can enhance their research quality. Number three, Number three is it expose to new ideas. So conferences often feature keynote speakers and panel discussions that cover cutting edge research and emerging trends. So this exposure is vital for staying updated within your field and sparking new ideas for your own research. So four is the academic recognitions. So presenting at conferences can significantly bolster a resume or your curriculum vitae, so making candidates more attractive to graduate schools, internships, and job placements. So it demonstrates active engagement in one field of study. So five and the last is the publication opportunities. So many conferences allow participants to publish their findings as part of the conference proceeding. So providing an additional avenue for academic recognition and dissemination of research. So steps to get involved in a research conference. So one is to identify your research interest. So choose a topic that excites you or align with your academic and professional goals. So this could involve collaborating with a faculty member whose interests match yours. Number two is to conduct thorough research. So engage in a literature review to understand the current state of knowledge in your area of interest. So this will inform your research design and methodology. So number three is to prepare your submission. So most conferences issue a call for proposals several months in advance. So prepare an abstract summarizing your research question, methodology, results, and conclusion. So it ensure it adheres to the submission guidelines provided by the conference. So number four is design your presentation. So depending on the format, oral presentation or poster, create materials that clearly convey your research findings. So for posters, focus on visual clarity and concise information presentation. Number five is to practice your delivery. So if presenting orally, rehearse your talk multiple times to build confidence. So for poster sessions, be prepared to discuss your work with attendees who may have questions or feedback. Number six is engage during the conferences. So attend various sessions, ask questions, and network with other attendees. So this engage can lead to fruitful discussion and potential collaboration. So by following these steps and understanding the benefits of participating in research conferences. You can maximize your experience and contribute meaningfully to your field of study. Next slide will be the collaborative uh, tools and platforms. So, collaborative research tools and platforms are super useful in today's in today's research landscape. So, allowing teams to work together effectively, regardless of geographical barriers. So, these tools enhance communication, streamline workflows, and facilitate data sharing among researchers. So, the key, the the key collaborative research tools that uh, often oftenly used is number one is Insight 7. So purpose of this Insight 7 is to interview analysis platform for synthesizing qualitative data. So it features automated transcription with high accuracy and thematic analysis to identify key insights. So collaboration capabilities allowing multiple users to access projects simultaneously and customized reporting for presenting findings to stakeholders. So number two is the Google Drive. So the purpose of Google Drive is cloud-based storage for file sharing and collaboration. So it features real-time collaboration on documents, organized file management with folders and subfolders. So integration with Google Workspace tools like Docs and Sheets can use in Google Drive. So number three is the Slack. So the purpose of Slack is messaging platform for team communication. So it features channels for project specific discussion, file sharing capabilities also, and integrations with other tools such as Google Drive and Zoom. So number four, the one that we always use in research subject is the Zoom. So purpose of Zooms is video conferencing tool for remote collaboration. So it features high quality video and audio for meetings, recording capabilities for later review, and breakout rooms for focus group discussions. Number five is the Trello. So the purpose of Trello is visual organizational tools for managing tasks and projects. So it features interactive boards to organize ideas using cards. So it easy tracking of project progress through visual cues. Number six is the Asana. So Asana, purpose to project management tools designed to track tasks excuse- and deadlines. So it features task assignments and progress tracking. So it integrate also with various productivity tools. Number seven is the Research Gate. So purpose of the Research Gate is the academic networking site for researchers. So it features some sharing research papers and findings with peers or with co-researcher. So networking opportunities within the academic community. So number eight is the Figshare. Uh, Figshare, also it is a platform for sharing research outputs and data. So it features, uh, allows researcher to upload data sets, figures, and other research materials for collaborations. So, what are the benefits of collaborative research platforms? Number one, of course, it enhances communication. So, these tools foster real-time communication among team members, which is crucial for effective collaboration, especially in remote settings. So, next one is the data management. So many platforms integrate data management system that helps organize research materials efficiently. So by making it easier to access necessary information quickly, like we use in Google Drive. Next is the project tracking. So project management features allow teams to set deadlines, assign tasks, and track progress, ensuring that project stays on schedule. So the selecting of collaborative research tools should be tailored to the specific needs of the research team and project goals. So utilizing these platforms can significantly enhance productivity, streamline workflows, and foster a collaborative environment conducive to groundbreaking discoveries. So next is the managing multinational and cross-disciplinary teams. So managing multinational and cross-disciplinary teams involves navigating a complex landscape of cultural differences, communication styles, and collaborative dynamics. So the strategies to managing multinational teams is number one is understanding cultural differences. So, cultural awareness. So, recognizing and respecting the diverse cultural backgrounds of team members is crucial. So, this includes understanding varying norms, values, communication styles, and attitudes towards hierarchy. So, by fostering a culture of inclusivity, managers can create an environment where all team members feel valued and respected. So number two is the establishing clear communication. So communication channels, effective communication is essential for success in multinational teams. So managers or researchers should establish clear channels for dialogue and encourage open discussion. So utilizing various communication tools can help accommodate different time zones and language preferences, ensuring that all team members can engage meaningfully. Next is building trust and rapport. In building trust and rapport, uh, you use the personal connections. So investing time in getting to know team members personally can significantly enhance trust and collaborations. So understanding their backgrounds, interests, and motivations foster a supportive work environment. So next is the resolution. We use the proactive management. So conflicts are very inevitable or you cannot hindi mo siya maiiwasan. So in diverse teams can be addressed by promoting open dialogue and active listening. So managers should facilitate constructive conversations so that respect different viewpoints on conflict resolutions. So number five is the embracing diversity. So leveraging strength. So diverse team brings unique perspective that can lead to innovative solutions. So encouraging team members to share their insights can enhance creativity and problem solving capabilities. So last is providing cultural sensitivity training. So implementing cultural sensitivity training equips team members with the skills necessary to navigate cultural differences effectively. So this training fosters awareness of diversity and enhance collaboration within the team. So what are the techniques for cross-disciplinary teams? So for cross-disciplinary teams, strategies like shared goals ensure that all team members understand the project objectives and how their contributions affect one another's work. So another one is encouraging collaboration. So manager must actively promote teamwork by emphasizing the importance of collaborations over individual work. So breaking down um, problems that may exist between disciplines. So last one is the regular updates. So keep the team informed about progress and challenges throughout the project to maintain engagement and focus on collective goals. So by implementing these strategies, um, researchers can effectively lead multinational and cross-disciplinary teams, fostering an environment where diversity is celebrated as a strength, ultimately leading to enhanced performance and innovation. And that's all of my report. Thank you.